Hey guys, so I'm finally able to breathe better. I feel like my voice is still funky because it's still kind of in between my nose and my chest, but well enough to where I don't have stuff oozing out of my eyes and nose. So I wanted to jump on and just connect with you guys because I seriously miss everybody when I'm not connected. So now I'm on a roll because I'm actually feeling like I'm somewhat functioning. But I was having this conversation with a couple of my coaching clients in my elite program. And it's one of the tools that I like to suggest from the very beginning, like just base foundation of, well, not maybe very, very beginning, but very early on, is that belief is everything. And it's something that I've learned and I have had to learn. So it's an actual skill set that you can learn. And there's specific ways that I have gone about it, but over the last decade or more, actually the last 2 decades. And that is being able to create the belief. Because when you think about it this way, whenever you have any kind of goal or something that you want to do, maybe you wouldn't consider it necessarily a goal. When you are convinced beyond a doubt that it is going to happen, that you're capable of it happening, like there's no doubt in your mind that this thing is going to happen, then you are more tolerant of challenges, you're more tolerant of ups and downs, your choices are more aligned, you're willing to give more what you might perceive to be in the moment as sacrifices because you're so convicted in the outcome, right? And when you have that conviction in the outcome, that's what gives you the strength to get through those moments of doubt. That's what gives you the strength to get through those moments of just feeling tired of like putting in the work and maybe not seeing the result as quickly as you want it to be. Because especially with fitness and weight loss, everything that on social media will tell you that it's quick, fast, and easy, right? Well, I'll tell you, like I've always told you, it's not quick and fast and easy. You could definitely get some momentum going pretty quickly, but long-term goals take consistency over time. It takes persistence. It takes grit, the ability to be resilient and keep going. And the driving factor, the inner strength that you can build that skill, comes down to conviction and belief. So it sounds a little woohoo, but this is something that I started innately kind of learning 20 years ago in my own life and applied to my fitness journey. And I've learned and really worked hard to cultivate over the next, let me make sure it went out on me for a second. And then we really worked hard and intentional and realized that what I kind of naturally, innately started doing 20 years ago, there's actually a whole lot of science behind it. And then there's also a process. So the first step in this and building conviction and really building the strength and the inner, skill set. It really is. It's a mental skill set to be able to accomplish what it is you want to accomplish, is this ability to create conviction. And how you create that conviction is by creating imagery of whatever it is that you want to become a reality. There's a lot of research behind this. It is no longer just woohoo. There's actual scientific studies that show that this is in fact scientifically proven to be true, that our brain has a piece of our brain that's called the reticular activation system. I get tongue-tied on that word, the RAS. And our brain, basically, that is like our target for our brain. And this system, whatever, it has a target, whether we give ourselves a target or not. If we don't give ourselves, if we're not intentional about the target that we give it, then the target that it naturally is going to grab onto is whatever it feels safest with, most comfortable with, which is probably whatever you've been battling with, because our brains are naturally designed to keep us safe, to keep us comfortable. Safety, comfortable, that's a survival mechanism that is hardwired into our brain. And so whether we like it or not, if we've been battling, let's say with weight or whatever, or relationships or financials or whatever, if we've been battling for a really long time, the battle, as much as we don't like it, it's comfortable to a part of our brain. So in order to rewire and really make a difference, it starts with creating a new vision for what is possible, for what you want to believe. And at first, it's hard to even create it. It's hard because maybe you've never been there. So let me stick with the analogy of weight weight loss and being the best version of you. And when I say the best version of you, I hope that you guys know, and those of you that have been with me a long time know that I really do mean like the best version of you, not your comparison of Susie highlight reel on Instagram or the favorite like swimsuit edition of Sports Illustrated or whatever it is these days, right? Not that version. That's fine. That's for them. That's their life. What is it that is your best? What is your best weight? Where do you feel like the most confident and the strongest and the most powerful, right? What is the absolute best version of you, all fear aside? If anything was possible, which it is, but for that brain that doesn't want to believe it right now, if anything was possible, if there was no fear, if there was no failure, if there was nobody holding you back, so to speak, that's a whole nother, no one holds you back but yourself. But let's say, for the sake of argument, let's say it's other people, circumstance, whatever. If that wasn't there, what does it look like for you to live your best life? And write that out as if it's a reality. Write that out as if it's now, as if it's happening. What does that feel like? What does that look like? How is life different? For many clients, it might be losing 50 to 75 pounds. So it's not just, it's okay if it's something that is super, like what someone might say superficial or vain. It's okay if it's just like, so many of my clients just want to get to the other side of the store, right? In the sizes, if you're not familiar what that means, right? Just being able to shop on the other side is a big deal. Being able to like, buckle in. I've had many clients that couldn't buckle or couldn't qualify to get on some of the rides with their kids because it wouldn't lock, right? Or maybe it's walking in and maybe you look like smaller to other people, but you know that you're not at your best. You know you've got more in you. You know you could be leaner, tighter, firmer. Whatever it is for you, not what anybody else wants it to be, but whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's being able to, like maybe you're fearful of health issues and being able to keep up with kids or grandkids, or wanting to be able to set the example for them and being able to not just like, your 3-year-old comes up to you and they ask you to play and you're just tired from the day and you don't have the energy because you haven't been eating right, you're struggling, you don't literally physically have the energy, whatever that is. And so maybe it's for you, the visual is like watching yourself instigate the play and like running up to them and like, come on, let's go and let's get outside and let's get away from like video games and go play, go throw a ball, whatever, run around the park, whatever that is, write it out as if you're there. And I will tell you that I shared this earlier on our tribe page. Getting healthy and fit is not just a physical thing. Like it's not just about it. Like it's the weight on the scale is great. The health indicators are great, but your confidence changes. Your energy changes. When I decided to get healthy and fit nearly 20 years ago now, at that time I was going through a very challenging divorce with my son's dad. I had to take a huge step back and took like just a job to be local. Money was tight. My confidence was definitely suffering. When I finally got on top of things and figured out how to do it the right way and started working on my body and on my mind and on my nutrition and started working on all of those things, my confidence came back like way beyond what it had ever been in the past. And because of that, my financial life changed as well. Like investing in myself. I'm that single mom that like fearfully put down a deposit for a personal trainer back in the day 20 years ago on a credit card that I didn't know how it was going to get paid. But that leap of faith and investing in myself, even when I felt like I couldn't, paid off more than I could ever even explain to you in this video, because of the fact that here I am today. And over the last 9 years, because eventually my own story was so impactful, I wanted to help other women do the same. And so a little over 10 years ago, I took another leap of faith, left a comfy corporate America job to do this. And it's not been an easy road, but it's 100% worth it every single day because of the impact my team and I have been able to have over now, hundreds, probably thousands over the last almost 10 years, a little over 9 years. First year was personal training, all that kind of stuff. But the only reason I was even, and able, and I don't claim to be all that or what have you, but every step of the way, it's holding on to that vision. So the vision for the first time was just being able to visualize myself being in a better place. And when you first sit down to kind of write this out, it's really hard to imagine. It's really hard. Like, just think of it as a work in progress, or like something that you practice on, right? It's because you can only believe from where you sit right now. Does that make sense? So if you can only believe from where you sit right now, then you evolve that vision, you evolve that picture, right? I never 20 years ago imagined owning a fitness business, having this kind of impact. I just wanted to get healthy. I just wanted to be okay for Dante. I just wanted to not be worried about, am I going to have a heart attack because I had an eating disorder that I was struggling and battling with? I just wanted to not be there. And so my first vision was just to get better from there. And then my next vision was, for a while, it was corporate. My next vision was, I did really, really well and all of that. And then after that, my next vision was doing this, right? And the only thing, just like anything else, is getting that vision of the next step, the next mountain peak that you can see. Write it down as if you're there. And the more that you practice that, and one of my favorite books that I learned, when I really got intentional and realized what I was doing and started doing some intentional research, I guess, on this topic, was probably about 8 or 9 years ago when I first started this business. And one of the first books that a mentor gave me was Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. If you've been with me a long time, I've talked about it a lot. But he is just one of the foundational books. There's plenty of books on this. But he talks about the masterpiece of the mind, or the theater of the mind. And that this idea of creating a visual for what you want and spending time there and imagining that. And again, it's super weird at first, and it's going to be hard to imagine it at first because our minds are all over the place, but it's something that you practice. But when you practice it over and over again, you're giving your RAS, that reticular activation system, a new target. And reality is, the research shows that RAS system actually doesn't know the difference between reality and imaginary. So when you give it an intentional target of where you want to be, and when I say intentional, because you're being intentional about the positive outcome, you're being intentional about what you want to see, then you start making choices. It's kind of like when you buy a car and you think it's like an original, or you think like you're being different than your friends or whatever, and you buy the car and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere. It's always been there. It's that you gave your mind that target. It's now conscious and aware of that particular type of car. The same things work with goals and vision. When you set that vision in place and when you practice it, the more you practice it being there, the more of a reality you're going to make it. I did the same thing when I was competing. And obviously it worked really well for me. I couldn't even imagine getting up on stage and winning and all of that. And I would spend time visualizing that happening, and ultimately it did. And by God's grace, blessing, a lot of hard work. You got to do your part. But my point is when you imagine it, you start to build your own belief system. You build your conviction. And when you have conviction, the more time you spend in those moments, the more time you believe that it is a reality. When you have that conviction, your choices are going to align. It's going to be easier for you to make the sacrifices that are required in any good thing. Any good thing requires a lot of hard work. Any good thing requires some sacrifices. Any good thing requires change. Living a healthy and fit lifestyle means you're going to have to make changes in your life, because if you didn't, you would already be there, right? But being able to visualize it, see it, feel it, know that it's a reality gives you a greater sense of grit, a greater place of strength to be able to keep pressing on and making it happen, doing the daily work, making those daily choices, being strong enough to, talk back to your own stinking thinking first and foremost, but also maybe any naysayers that you have in your life. What matters at the end of the day is your strength, your anchor, your conviction. How do you build that conviction? Build the vision, and each day, week, start somewhere with practicing, thinking about, imagining you're actually already there, and how much is life different. I tie it to those emotions. Like I said, it'll be really hard in the beginning. This was a lot longer than I intended to be, but I hope that was super helpful. The goal is write it out as if you're there, your biggest, wildest, what may seem like impossible, write it out. the more you practice it, the more you think on it, the more you visualize yourself being there and tying it to emotion, the greater your conviction will be, the more in alignment your choices will become, and the more resilient you'll be when things don't go exactly as to plan, or when things get a little hard, or some sort of challenge gets in the way. You're building your level of grit to keep pressing on to that end goal. And then when you get there, you'll find something new that you want to, like you'll realize you probably have even more in you. And that's a whole nother story. All right, hope that was helpful. If it was, like, comment, talk to you soon. Bye.